Hello, fist to you all for once again 3 weeks on hiatus. Drama Time doth return to your screens, and what a week it has been. Delivered onto a private exclusionary realm by the ladies and gentlemen of Blizzard, in order to tease us with all this cool Shadowlands stuff that is coming out, which is looking pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. Pretty goddamn good. Certainly much better than BFA. Wiggly thumbs to that. Wiggly thumbs to that. That looks pretty goddamn good. But of course, Drama Time has been off your screens for a couple of weeks, and we should address that because today I have the embodiment of what Drama Time is all about. I have chosen a story which is going to take us through the slow, toxic collapse of a guild. And it's very relevant to the discussions that are going on around the World of Warcraft in terms of covenants and their powers and their strengths and weaknesses and all those kinds of things. It's going to be very on topic. I'm really picking things that are hot knives. But also, we require the judgment of the court. The court, of course, being these wonderful people you see here joining us for Drama Time live. These guys are going to be delivering judgment on behalf of a couple in need. A couple in need, and they have turned to the only place where fair judgment can be rendered, as you've seen here. And that is, of course, the Court of Drama Time in and of itself. And I will be relying on these wonderful jurors to allow that to happen. Very fair, very fair, very fair. But of course, Drama Time was off our screens for a couple of weeks. And one of the reasons, of course, was the huge amount of drama surrounding World of Warcraft itself. Lots of tragic and horrible events that occurred very, very quickly in rapid succession. It was a tough time for everybody, from fans and content creators alike, and therefore Drama Time felt inappropriate. But during all that time as well, I was contacted, and I want to be clear on this, for the first time ever in 5 years of making this show, from a couple of people who found the show offensive, upsetting in certain ways. Certain jokes that we take for granted, they didn't particularly like. And it really left me with a dilemma, because in some cases it actually prevented them from playing things they wanted to play in World of Warcraft, which is obviously never my intention. I do not do anything that should discourage you from enjoying the game. That is not what I want to do. So I will be adjusting the show in a way you guys probably aren't going to even notice. That's the reality of it. You're probably not going to even notice. This show does not live or die on a certain style of joke. It never has, and it never will do. But I do want to be clear on a couple of things as well. Our humor is always going to be offensive to someone somewhere. But it is never, ever, ever, and I cannot stress this enough, ever malicious, under any circumstances whatsoever. There is no malice in my heart for anybody who decides to sit down and ride me a Drama Time story or express themselves in some way. Drama Time exists for two reasons. One, so we can have a bit of fun on a Friday, kick back, relax, take our shoes off wherever we are in the world, all the way from Japan, all the way over to America. It doesn't matter. We have viewers from every single corner of this globe, and on a Friday when work finishes, I think a lot of people deserve to kick back, relax, and have a bit of a giggle at silly things that people do online when they're anonymous. That's about it. Anonymity is a huge deal in the online world, so we kick back and people do things that don't really make sense and they would never do in the real world. On top of that, it also provides a lot of red flags to our newer World of Warcraft players. And by newer, I mean those scrubs who have played for less than 10 years. Those amateur players with less than a decade of experience under their belt, to show them warning signs that they may not even be aware of, which are actually all too common in World of Warcraft. Far too common. And never will ever change, by the way. One thing I can tell you is it doesn't matter how many shows I do, how much I highlight the crazy, wacky things that people do in this game. If this game is still standing 10 years from now, they will still be doing it. I just don't want you guys to get caught in that trap. So a message from me, there is never any malice here. I hope, although there is a language barrier and a cultural barrier, you understand such things as, I don't actually hate husband-wife guilds. And I would turn to the dozens and dozens of husband and wife guild leaders that I have met at BlizzCon and sat and had drinks with and had a wonderful time with, who enjoy these stories as much as the next person. I don't really like the idea of sexy nudity pictures and hunting and creeping on girls, as much as it's a common thing. I've got a pretty fucking awesome wife. I'm not creeping on nobody. I'm not creeping on nobody, despite we might joke about it on the show. I'm not going to do any of those things. And do certain, I don't know, certain things that are, let's say, characteristic play out over and over again. Sometimes they do, but it doesn't mean I believe in those things either. Okay? So we're here to have fun. That's the whole purpose of it. That's my little tale. I hope everybody's fine with that. And now we're going to highlight everything I just talked about as a couple in need. A couple in need, partners together, have requested the assistance of this jury to determine their relationship, I imagine. It seems that way to me. And it starts off with this title, Men Are Weird as Fuck. Men, your view on this? I agree. Wholeheartedly. I think people are weird as fuck. People are weird, right? Let's be real here. People are weird as fuck. Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. Everybody's weird in some fucking way. I don't like butter or chocolate, really. And that seems to drive my audience completely fucking insane. That I don't really like those things. I'm not a big fan of bacon. It really upsets a lot of people. Like, literally, thousands upon thousands of people cannot stand that I don't really like bacon. And you'll see, like, you'll see the jury casting guilty verdicts on me. I cannot eat a sandwich if it has butter on it. I simply can't, which leads my wife to, as she did yesterday, come at me with no pants on while I was streaming, but also having toast with butter on it, creating this weird sort of Clockwork Orange style love-hate relationship. I can see my wife, who I find very attractive, naked from the waist down, yet also there's butter. And so, you know, I have this weird situation going on with myself. So that is something I have to deal with. Guilty. Yeah, guilty. I'm not a big fan of bacon. I'm not a big fan of chocolate. Sorry. Don't mean to upset you. No bacon. I can eat bacon. I can eat bacon just fine. I'm just not a big fan of it. If I have a choice, I'm not probably going to take the bacon. That's all, okay? That's it. That's it. Nothing more than that. All right, let's get Nima. Oh, no. Yeah, Nima and Pinchuk. Perfect. For our wonderful Patreons who are providing that. And some good announcements is it looks we are going to be trialing somebody else joining the PG family. As you know, we currently have 4 people involved. And that you can see the payoff for that in the recent sheer amount of YouTube content we've created and streams that have happened recently. So we are going to be trialing bringing somebody else in, see how they go on, who is going to be creating variety gaming content for us in a separate sort of way. Really excited for this, like super excited for this. Variety YouTube content has been something I've been dying to do, but obviously a lot of my time is tied up with World of Warcraft. So we're really, really excited to have that happen. So stay tuned for more information on that. It's currently in development. We're working on developing that stuff, and we'll see where it goes from there. Okay. Same channel? No, we're going to be branching out because there's lots of things basically, the way I see content creation is I want to talk about the things I give a fuck about. That's it. That's all I want to do. And you guys know several of my hobbies that don't get reflected in any of the content we create. I'm a massive movie nerd. Huge movie nerd. I will watch the shittest and the best movies going because I like talking about movies. I also, as you know if you watch our live streams, I don't stream a lot of World of Warcraft. I love playing other games. We played Fallout New Vegas, which we finished this week, and of course Pokemon. We'll go all over the place from the hardest games possible down to the silliest games possible and have fun with them. And I like doing all of those things. I don't really have an outlet for that stuff, so let's make one. That's the point. That is the point. Okay. Pokemon sucks. Pokemon sucks. You tell that to the giant whale that I had following me today. And the Lock of Keys. So it's all those kinds of things. All those kinds of things. So, let me get started here. This may be a little too short for drama time, but I'm approaching this as more of a therapeutic exercise, okay? I just don't understand guys and why you are the way you are. I don't get it. The thing is, I would argue for your most general basic guy, for your most average basic guy, it's really quite easy, if I'm being honest. At least it feels that way to me. I would consider myself about as basic as it possibly gets. I am giga basic, right? Giga basic. Real easy. Real easy. Looking after me is so easy. So easy. I'm pretty sure, anyway. Probably not. Emma would probably say otherwise. But there you go. I have been in the same guild since I joined the game, formed primarily from real-life friends from school. One of which is Pinchuk, who stepped up to be the guild master, and one, Nima, who I have been living with for just under a year once we both moved to that London. We dated through university, long distance. Our guild functions really well. We're all comfortable sticking to heroics and on occasion maybe having a little dabble at mythic raids, but we very much like where we are. We like getting curved and things like that. We're not really trying to be anything more, which is fine. And we are flexible for people wanting to pug with groups or swap to alts and keep our general raiding life relaxed and friendly. Let me take you to March. Lockdown. Corona. All over. Stress. And now, Nima and I have to see how we live together in a bubble. In a room with no escape. Locked in. Luckily, neither of us were furloughed, so we had work to keep us busy, and despite things with Battle for Azeroth winding down, we kept up a steady raid schedule and ended up playing more World of Warcraft than usual. We don't do Mythic Plus together because we're not insane. See, I don't know what that means. Are you saying you raid together, but you're unable to do a dungeon together? I don't know what that means. I genuinely have no idea what that means. Now, I can't play WoW with my wife, but that's because she's a fucking noob. Right? And I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. Like, that bothers me a great deal. Maybe one of them's a noob. Maybe one of them's a noob. All right? Look, guys, love, everything's fine. But when it comes to video games, you gotta play with people of equal par, or if not better, right? Come on now. Come on now. This isn't a carry. She's not even paying gold for it. Get out. With situations, with everyone changing, our guild leader and friend, Pinchuk, decided he couldn't keep up his subscription and was going to take a break from World of Warcraft. All good, no problem. He asked Nima to take over as guild master while he is away until he can know when he's coming back to World of Warcraft. So, my partner, Nima, became guild master, and at the exact same moment, almost miraculously, he became a complete and total dick. Like, to the second, he became a complete and total dick. The main contention we came up on the very first night. And we still, to this day, do not agree with how he handled this situation. This happened, back in March? It's a real grudge you're holding. I think he's being ridiculous and a bit of a prick and is very much in the wrong. His point of view is that I'm overreacting and raging for no reason. All right, so we're going to need she has specifically asked for a judgment from you guys. In fact, it says this quite clearly in the story. We both watch Drama Time, and if you do read this story, I hope to get vindication from the chat agreeing with me. So this is on you guys, all right? Now, before you declare judgment, you have to wait to hear the facts, all right? Order in the court, okay? I haven't got my fucking gavel. This is bullshit. All I've got is a gavel thing and no gavel. Bastard. Okay, let's get the facts. The first raid night comes with Nima as the guild master. Let's emphasize something, though. The guild master is not the raid leader. None of us are officially the raid leader. I already hate your guild. What do you mean, none of you are the raid leader? The fuck is that? Raiding's not a democracy. Never has been, never will. What are you doing? There ain't no democracy in raiding. There's opinions, and then there's the raid leader. That's why we have the raid leader. It's called the raid leader for the reason. I have been tanking for this guild through Legion onwards. We sit down to log in to raid time and join the Discord and get set up. We both raid in the same room, in a second bedroom set up as a gaming room. Oh, awesome. I miss that so much. On opposite sides of the room, though, to avoid echo. So you two sound like pretty serious gamers. And we have general chat with people as they all log in and start catching up. Talking about lockdown and all the real world shit going on. Our actual raid leader... Oh, there is a raid leader. There is... Wait, you said none of us are. Wait a minute, I'm confused. Oh, you mean none of you two. Okay, neither him or her are the raid leader, but there is a raid leader. Saved. Woo! Oh, everyone relax. All right, pitchforks down. There is a raid leader. It's just that neither of these two are raid leader. Our raid leader starts pulling people into the raid, and we get ready to go. I am not in the raid group. Uh-oh. I call out on Discord thinking that I must have been missed when he went through the guild list and to send me the inv. I was met with a really awkward silence. I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't read this far. The premise alone was like, you're in. So I don't know what's coming. I genuinely don't. Nima, her partner, pipes up. He tells me I'm not in that night's raid and that the group has already agreed with someone they met in a pub to join instead. Oh, Nima, what did you do? What the fuck did you do? Oh my god. Oh shit. What the fuck did you do? What? Now, we live together. We talked that day about the raid. He knew about this apparently, and we had endless opportunity to tell me that I wasn't tanking that night. He even was in the room when I sat down to get ready for the raid. It's really hard to be on your side right now, Nima. I'm not going to lie. I tried not to lose my shit, but honestly, what the fuck? What the fuck? Wait though, are you bad? That's difficult. What if she's bad? Could be bad. Could be bad tank. Found better tank. Awkward. Living with her, but she's bad. Let's see how it goes. His response to not inform... Oh, he's got an answer. His response to not telling me before I was literally sat in the chair waiting for the raid to form was this. And I quote, I didn't want to pull rank and be the GM outside of the game, so I thought I should leave game stuff to Discord. Bad answer. Like, the worst, honestly. The worst. That's terrible. That's the worst answer. Jesus Christ. I mean, all raid organization stuff takes place outside of the raid. You know when Alex makes sure I'm going to be around for a night? Like 2 days before the raid. I'll give you a clear example from, because I had the thing with Blizzard on the private realm, right? Message from Alex on the 7th, and this is concerning the raid on the 9th. Yo, Mike, are you here for this week? I remember seeing some post before we reset the forum. Never mind, I'm an idiot. You already posted it again. That's it. Sorted. Why didn't you Discord her during the day, even though you sat next to each other? Why didn't you do that? Like, oh, I'm just texting someone, but text her via Discord to tell her she's not tanking. You could have done that. Could have made that play. That would have been big brain. That would have been seriously big brain. All right, let's see. Maybe he can pull it back, though. Maybe he can pull it back. Maybe he can pull it back. Let's see. I thought this was the weirdest shit I'd ever heard. The Discord stays in its awkward, silent tension, and instead of raiding about how stupid this is and how much we will not use the phrase pull rank with me ever again. Ooh, pull rank. Guildmaster. Guild. I didn't want to go all authoritative on you, you know what I mean? I didn't want to have to put on my sheriff's badge and shit. You say pull rank to me again, I will cut your fucking dick off. I swear to God. Okay. I focused on the more important questions of, I asked him, why in the fuck am I not tanking? He asked me to mute and talk to him offline. Oh, now you don't want it in front of the guild. Wait. You can't have it both ways, Nima. You can't have it both ways, Nemo. What the fuck, bro? You want to take it to Discord. You want to do guild stuff on comms when people are there. But now you want to take it private. I see. I see what's happening. He turned around in his chair to face me. He explained to me that as guild master, he doesn't want to be seen to be playing favorites with me by letting me keep my raid spot. And if he let me be in the raid, then it would appear to others like he was using his power to help his girlfriend. Oh my god, bro. What in the fuck are you doing, man? What are you doing? What are you doing, son? Oh my god. My point back to him was, you're not giving me a raid spot. I've raided with this guild nearly every single week as a tank, and I've been in the guild and the raid team before we even started dating. I also want to clear that this should be our raid leader's decision, if he has an issue with me being there. I was mostly confused and pretty furious. I just logged off after saying goodbye to everybody and went on my own to the living room. Now, it has been months. It has. He thinks it's unreasonable. Oh, is this all the facts? Oh, Nima. Oh, my God. He thinks it's unreasonable that I'm still salty about this, but it took most of April of them struggling with pug tanks before I was given my raid spot back. All I want is for him to acknowledge it is so fucking weird he would think anyone would believe he's playing favorites, and most importantly, to apologize for just not telling me beforehand. I love the guy. Really? Still, huh? Huh. And it's not brought up often, but he made a comment in last week's raid that I will... Oh, God. Oh, it gets so much worse. Oh, my God, it gets so much worse. In last week's raid, he made a comment that I'll sulk again if I'm not included. Bro. Ooh. Ooh. And so, of course, I'm now raging at you. I just want to let it out, but it keeps niggling at me that he could do that and think it's a rational way to act. Chat and drama time of the Preach gaming community. Am I crazy? Or was he in the wrong? Where is my fucking gavel? I'm going underneath. I need it. Got it. Found it. Found it. Found it. Okay. Please work. I beg of you. It's not going to work. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, in the case of Arthur versus Nima, the court finds unequivocally and without pause Nima guilty on all counts. You madman. What are you possibly thinking about? What are you thinking about? You are uber guilty. Uber guilty. Good God. Now, Nima, if you wish to send me the other side of the story, then maybe we'll consider a redecision. Okay? Maybe we'll consider a redecision on this. But as it stands, based on the evidence presented to this court, Nima, you are indeed guilty on all charges. And also, if this story is accurate, got some balls on you, lad. I'll tell you that for now. I will tell you that for now. I will tell you that for now. Good God. Oh, my God. We do need to know. Is she bad, though? Is she bad? In which case, he's in an unfortunate situation, friends. An unfortunate situation. All right, let's, again, so at the beginning of Drama Time this week, I did mention that, of course, The same things happen a lot of times in WoW, often with a different twist, a different color, a different flavor, but certain things remain true. And I'm going to put this to my seasoned jurors here. How many people does it take to kill a guild? It's a very exact number, in fact. Correct. The answer is 1. It takes exactly 1 person to kill your guild. It is the most difficult thing you'll have to deal with as a guild master, raid leader, whatever. It takes exactly 1 person to kill a guild. More, of course, can do it. No less. But if a person is going to kill your guild, it will be just a singular one. You let that poison spread, and it will spread, my friends. It will spread far, and it will spread wide. We'll keep Pinchuk, because we didn't really mention him at all. All right. So we need some of our wonderful lady supporters. Let's get a blunt lady. That will be Parno. Parno, welcome aboard. We need somebody. The comment here is it even a raid if they don't turn up drunk? I have played with a few serious drinkers when they raid. It's pretty extreme sometimes. And we need an older lady. Let's go with Pookie. Pookie, you can be in there. I've only ever raided with one alcoholic that I didn't realize was an alcoholic until, obviously, you know, something happened. It was pretty grim, actually. They were a good friend. Sad times. Sad times. Sad, sad times. Right, I got 4 names there. I need 4. Okay, so we're good. And the title of this is... All right. Yeah, Conclave broke my guild. Conclave. I've played with a lot of people who get hammered during raids. Certainly in the more casual raids. That doesn't tend to happen now. It's hard to do mythic raids while drunk. But certainly when I was in the casual sphere for a while there, back in vanilla, definitely played with a lot of people who just turned up completely hammered or used raiding to get completely hammered. It was rough going. They didn't play well. But anyway. All right. We need a guild name. I put it to you, the wonderful audience. What is the guild name of this? Let me give you a description of this guild in case it helps you. It's a low pop round guild. It is a guild that is heroic raiding, aiming to just get curved before the tier ends. In brackets says, I know how much you hate us immediately as a result of this disclosure. Now, this is the reason that I get complaints, right? I don't give a fuck if you raid normal or heroic or mythic, all right? I don't care. I really don't care. If you're having fun and doing some good stuff, it's fine. I don't really care. But for the sake of the entertainment of drama time, you fucking suck. And you should be aware of it. Curve after a full tier? Bruh. Get over yourselves. Okay. The Dancing Wodens. Nobody's going to get that, unfortunately. The Pope... Butter Chuggers. Fine, fine. You can have Butter Chuggers. You can have Butter Chuggers. Chubness. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. Okay. Dear Mike and your wonderful chat, it's you guys. This is a classic Drama Time tale. We are going to the darkest reaches of the game. A low population realm, a cesspool heroic guild, an officer raider couple. I've been watching your videos since late Nighthold, but I got a little Stockholm syndrome and ended up sticking around far longer than I should have in this guild. Hey, you're not the only one. We've all done it. It's nice to stay with your friends, man. It's nice to stay with your friends. But what follows is my story. With a little collaboration from the other people involved to fill in the gaps of what happened then. So strap in, because it's a beast. It is a beast. All right, here we go, friends. Some background. So let me set the scene and paint you a picture. I took a long break between the trial of the Crusader in Wrath of the Lich King and the Nighthold in Legion. Wow, that is a huge break. It was actually some of your videos which got me back into playing WoW. Drama Time specifically, I think. Why? Why fuck? Why would Drama Time bring you back to the game? I ended up joining the guild. This story took place in mid-Tomb of Sargeras raid. They were doing Sisters of the Moon Heroic. That was a cool fight. Sisters of the Moon. That was chill. And my first raid was alongside Pinchuk, who was new at the time. When I joined the guild, the raid leader was extremely good. He had recently stepped down from hardcore heavy metal mythic raiding, and he was an excellent player, communicated clearly, perhaps a bit abrasively at times, but he gave clear instructions on bosses and called out loads of things during the fight that many of us never really could see. He made sure that we got ahead of the curve in Tomb and later in Antorus. We achieved both curves in a fairly good time by all accounts. These were also my first raiding tiers since I've been back in the game, so I really had no idea what to expect. It was around this time that I was promoted to the officer rank of the guild, as I've been helping out with recruitment, acting as a backup tank, and generally being among one of the higher performers who is actively researching class, spec, and gameplay. You can thank me later. Instead of just being a sheep, the other people aren't sheep, they just don't give a fuck, alright? It depends, honestly, it depends how good your raid leader is. I trust in Alex to prepare that spreadsheet. That's enough for me. That's enough for me. I'm not watching it. I can't watch the Fat Boss video. I'm in it. You know what I mean? It's tricky. I trust in Alex. He's going to get it done. He's going to get it done. I believe. It was simpler times. We had fun and there was no real drama. Happiness. Happiness. As Antorus was the last raid tier of the expansion, once we had it on farm, people started to play their alts, re-rolling in preparation for the release of Battle for Azeroth. This resulted in both of our tanks not wanting to tank anymore. With no one in the raid team wanting to play tank, we ended up bringing in 2 fresh faces to tank. One of them was Parnome. Who played well and I had no problem with. So let's go to that fateful day we all remember, the launch night. Battle for Azeroth. It's here. Are you ready? It begins. I went ultra turbo tryhard launch night. Leveled 110 to 120 with a guildie in about 11 hours straight. That seems slow. Is that slow for BFA? It feels slow. What was the average leveling time on launch night for BFA? Am I wrong? That feels slow. I ended up being server 7th. If you were above 6, you sucked. 6 to 7. I felt like BFA was... I know I did it in one night, no problem. And usually I can't do massive streams. I get too tired. I'm an old man. I need to put my diaper on and get in bed. As one of the first in the guild, and on the realm to cap, I was ahead on gear and Azerite power. Yes! I remember doing World Quest sweeps with you early on. Oh, I know who you are. I do know who you are. Okay. Including getting a Lion Slayer. Cheers for that, by the way. We did do that. As other guildies were still grinding Azerite power and catching up on gear before the Uldir raid launch. I started tanking Mythic Dungeons and shortly after, of course, M+, on the regular for some of the more try-hard members of the guild. This small group of us, about 5 to 7 who had capped, including Pinchuk, who was hands down our best, creamiest, juiciest healer at the time. And after a few weeks of me tanking and her healing in M+, we realized we made the ultimate combo. But then the messages started. Can anyone guess what these messages are? We're talking about a guild. This happened to... I've had this happen in Wrath of the Lich King, is we had to kick 5 of our most stable raid members because they just couldn't level. It was unbelievable. It took them like a week. It was crazy. They were so far behind. It was so weird. Sliding into the DMs. Why did you make a click? Good guess, actually, from Maud Bragan. Good guess, actually. Very close to that. Messages started to appear. Not directly, of course. Who would ever do that in a video game? But through the grapevine. Our brand new tank was upset. Very upset. He was telling people that it was wrong that I would tank dungeons because he's not a raid tank for the guild. Me tanking in Mythic and Mythic Plus dungeons was putting him out of what he was there to do. I know. It's frustrating, isn't it? Because how many times are we all looking for a tank in the guild? And you've got that DPS warrior, right? Who just refuses And you're like, there's like 5 groups waiting for tanks right now, and you really can't be asked to just strap on a shield for fucking 20 minutes. Bruh. Already guilty. He was telling the leadership that he was main tank of the guild. And part of his job, and one of the reasons he wanted to be the main tank, was that he should be tanking all of the content for the guild. And it was only proper that we should wait for him to be ready. I will, of course, remind you, he was one of the last people in the guild to actually get 120. And at that time of this little mini tantrum, he hadn't even capped yet, and was upset that people were doing dungeons without their main tank. They should wait so that they could gear him up, along with him helping many groups gear up. Okay? So stop playing. Did you cap fast? Stop playing. Just stop playing. Stop playing. No dungeons for you. None at all. We did what we thought was right, and ignored the shit out of him. And continued to do our M+ runs with the group we've formed. So when Parnham finally capped his character, he was unfortunately relegated to the runner-up groups. He had to do the lower M+ with the other healers. You know what I mean. Parno must have thought the reason he wasn't timing keys was because he didn't have the best healer, who was always in a group with me as the tank. So we relented. We don't want to lose the main tank. Of course, we don't want to lose the main tank. We did some M+ with Parnham as the tank. But even with me in the group, and the best healer, and the other DPSs, we still struggled to time +3s and +4s. There was always excuses from Parnham, of course, considering that this was the exact same group that had been easily timing these keys just without him in it. His excuses, of course, ranged from some of the trickier stuff. DPS is too low. Someone ninja pulled. This is trash that wasn't here last time. Blizzard must have changed the dungeon. Smart. Eventually, we gravitated back towards just not having him in the group. I went back to the combo of me tanking and Pinchuk healing as the combo. This, of course, is the beginning of the foundation of my eventual eruption with Parnham. But Uldir rolls around. We have a decent-sized raid ready on day 1 to go in, kick some ass, take some names. It's the first raid of the new expansion, and that feeling, as any raider will tell you, fills you with joy. The hype is real. Our guild's raid schedule is we're going to get that pretty soon. It is a good feeling, right? The first raid of the brand new tier. It's like Christmas morning. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Listening to Serenius bitch about something that he hasn't managed to get in a dungeon and no one gives a flying fuck. Oh, can't wait. Can't wait. The guild's raid schedule, 2 nights a week. Around 3 hours per evening. Don't laugh. I'm trusting you guys here. Don't laugh. It took us 2 weeks to clear Uldir normal. And then after that, we got 3 out of 8 heroic. On the very first night, we killed Talok, Mother, and Fetid heroic. Big hype, actually, for our guild. Big hype. We were very happy with our progress. But then, disaster. Progress started to falter. We killed Vectis relatively quickly. It took us a week to kill heroic Zekvoz. And then the roadblock came. The start of many, many roadblocks. I nicknamed this moment The Wall. It took us 3 full weeks to kill Zul heroic. How? I mean, what was going on? What was wrong? How? I don't get it. What were you doing wrong? I need to know what was going wrong there. I need to know. Were you just not CCing? I need to know. So if we can assume you at least had 2 hours a week and it took you 3 weeks, that was 6 hours to kill Zul heroic. I don't know. I need to know. When I hear this stuff, it's not that I don't believe you. I just desperately want to know what it was. It's got to have been CC, right? It has to be. Tanks dying, maybe? And when we killed it, that excellent Mythic raiding leader, the man who had stepped down from Mythic raiding to come down and play with us for fun, He was also our main healer. Said that he had had quite enough of this. He had had enough of this raid. He had had enough of BFA. He just was not happy anymore. Oh, poor guy. Although he did try and stick around to help out, he was not going to be renewing his sub. And about a week later, his brother, who was also one of the guild healers... Brothers and both healers. That's risky. And his brother, who had also a healer, who had briefly taken over the role of raid leader, also gave it the big CBA. And this is when I, known as the tryhard, the nerd, the person who watches videos, what a nerd, who researches his class and his spec, checks what the boss does, was voted in by the raid as the brand new raid leader without asking me if I wanted to do it. Ooh. Oh, god damn. You're raid leader now. What? Why? What the fuck? I don't want to do that. I want to remind you, I had only been playing back in World of Warcraft since late Legion. I had no experience at being a raid leader whatsoever. And losing both the ex-raid leader and his brother also means that our healing team is now down to just 2 healers. Pinchuk and Pookie. It is at this point that Pinchuk got promoted to officer to take over the role of healing officer. You love this guild? Joining. Eventually, we downed Zul and Mithrax Heroic. Oh, we downed Zul. Mithrax Heroic took us a full 4 weeks to kill. In this time, we only re-cleared once. Oh, this is so sad. Oh, no. Oh, my heart is breaking right now, honestly. Heroic Mithrax took us a full month to kill. And during this month, we only ever re-cleared once because we weren't actually sure we will be able to kill Zul again. Oh, man. That's grim. Can't even farm raid. Oh, dude. It's so sad. It sucks, dude. It sucks so bad. One of the main problems on Mithrax was Pookie. Pookie just didn't seem to know where that beam was coming from. No matter how many times we explained it, the location of that beam and the way it was facing seemed to be an utter mystery to Pookie, and she would die. So we would literally be 3 healing the majority of the entire fight and using the combat res on her so she could heal a bit more before definitely dying again. Oh, Pinchuk was carrying most of Pookie's missing healing. But with Pookie dying so early and frequently on this fight, the other healers started to feel the pressure too. And they started complaining, of course, to Pinchuk. But eventually, guys, light in the darkness shines for us all. We did kill Mithrax. From memory, around the time the orbs got changed to not pop on melee. And we moved on to the big boy, the ultimate Chungus himself, Mr. G'huun. Suffice it to say, it did not go well. We did get, I want to tell you, ahead of the curve in the end. But we managed to get ahead of the curve. So let's see if we can put a timeline on this. Uldir launched. It took 2 weeks to do normal. Right, let's just get a timeline on this, how long this took. They took 2 weeks to do normal. They got 3 out of 8 the following week. So that's 3 weeks in. They were 3 out of 8 heroic. They spent a week on Zekvoz, so that was a month. Then 3 weeks on Zul heroic, so that's 7 weeks at that point. They took a full month to kill Mithrax, so now at 2 months and a week. And they managed to down G'huun on the 10th of December. For context, Uldir released on the 5th of September and BOD released on the 23rd of January. That's a long time to be trying to kill heroic. So our Uldir curve was when the content had been clearly nerfed into oblivion and did not feel like a win. Been there, man. Been there too many times. Some highlights of the Gahoon progress included realizing something key. A video was linked to me showing quite clearly that Pookie and her RL partner Alex were keyboard turners. It was how we figured out why they were dying to the fear thing in Gahoon on the last phase. Why do you keep dying? Let me show you what I can see on my screen. Let me just show you what's going on. And we had to overheal every single fight in order to keep Pookie's death, to carry Pookie's death or lack of healing. So why is Pookie in the raid? Okay, here we go. This is perhaps a good time to let you understand about Pookie and Alex. This duo are the OGs of the guild. Of course, they've got time. They've got time invested. They have been in this guild longer than all of us. They had been part of a previous guild merge exercise. Initially, both Pookie and Alex were officers of the guild. But due to some previous drama, Pookie had stepped down to appease the masses. I didn't know any of this stuff. Now, both Pookie and Alex, as it turned out, once we started digging into them, as he was now the raid leader, oh no, are a bit older. Any guesses? Any guesses? I want ages. Just give me a decade gap. Give me a decade. Give me a decade. I need a different... I will tell you now that Sue and Alex are in different decades of age. Seredius is correct on one. All right, so you're pretty close. Pookie is in her early 60s. Alex is in his late 50s. Despite being a couple for many, many years, they do not live together, and playing WoW is how they spend time together. Aww. Well, that's really cute, though. That's cute. I believe they both know they are not great players, as during the large amount of time they spend in game, they don't do any content like Mythic Dungeons or Mythic Plus. But what they do, that's really cute, man. If I can have someone who talks, if I'm 60 and I'm single or whatever, and I can have a lady or to talk to who's also old and just play games together, that's super cute. I'm fine with that. But don't fuck the raid over, though. Right? Bit of respect. If you shit, back of the bus. Yeah? Go on. Take your old ass down there. Ain't carrying you. It's a joke, you know what I mean? I don't really hate elderly people. I know at least 3 of them. Like, come on, give me a break. Well, instead of doing dungeons or Mythic Plus, they'd rather spend time farming mats. Pookie was the official feast maker for the raids. And it was described in officer chat, is that how she, and this is the correct term, this is very British, earns her keep with the guild. This is never challenged. This is not allowed to be challenged. In fact, new raiders were always brought on knowing this information. Anybody who did actively challenge the status quo of this situation had always historically been shown the door. Don't fuck with the OGs of the guild. Yes, this is when it dawned on me I may have been in a cesspool guild. Oh no. Now, let's bring it back down to our boy Parnham, the tank. Parnham was also an older guy, late 40s, early 50s. So when he joined the guild, he and Alex quickly hit it off talking about that soccer. Which of course meant he was introduced to Pookie. Like these 3 old time. Oh my god, it's like listening to a darts team in a club. Thick with cigar smoke, you know the one. The guild always deemed itself and marketed itself to new trials as casual, heroic guild. With a social aspect. Despite we were blatantly carrying people in the raid team, we had good giggles. I had made some pretty good friends in my 18 months in the guild, so I guess I just let things slide as I was probably afraid to leave this community that I was now used to and comfortable in. I told myself the raid team can get better. As long as we get Curve, which is our goal, we will be fine. Especially with players like myself and, of course, Pinjuk. We had taken a few tentative steps to help people improve. We had brought in some things like logs, WoW Analyzer, Wipefest. I don't know what Wipefest is. In hindsight, though, we should probably push for sweeping changes that we all knew the guild needed. Let me tell you guys our final Uldir pull count for Heroic. I actually expected this number to be higher, I'll be honest. It's hard for me to wrap my head around, but you don't raid that long. Zul was 34 pulls, which is still a lot. It's still a lot. 34 pulls for Zul. 33 pulls for Mithrax. 92 pulls for Gahoon. That's not a great deal, but they only raid twice a week for 3 hours a time. And you've got to imagine they're not running the most efficient ship, right? you got to wonder they're not. You got to imagine they're not running the tightest ship when it comes to raiding, right? Now we move on to a section that I like to refer to as the shitstorm, the Battle of Dazar Alor, released, of course, in January 2019. Because of how late we got ahead of the curve in Uldir, there wasn't too much of a break between Uldir and Battle for Dazar Alor, which possibly contributed to what was about to happen. I used the time to re-roll to a Holy Paladin to cover the gap in the healing team. I maintained my ret spec just in case. We started the Battle for Dazar Alor on the day it came out. We spent the week in normal to get some easy gear. We ended that very first week 7 out of 9 normal. I don't think that's strange though. If memory serves, wasn't normal mode boat boss broken? Am I right? No, they're missing, I forget the name of it. Boat Boy. Yeah, normal mode boat Boy was broken, right? Yeah, I remember that. I remember normal was harder than heroic for some reason. Heroic was broken? You sure? We killed Heroic on the first day. Stormwall Blockade. Yeah. Stormwall Blockade normal, I think, was harder than Heroic for some reason. I can't remember why. Yeah, it was harder. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It was that. Normal mode didn't have the debuff or something. Was that it? You couldn't clear the pools on normal? Was that the thing? It was something weird like that, right? It didn't let you clear the floor or some bullshit. Anyway. Then, of course, it was time to head into Heroic. Chat, would you like to guess how many pulls it took to defeat Champions of Light Heroic? Oh, God. The Champions of Light. The easiest boss in the dungeon, right? Wrong! Wrong! Champions Heroic took my guild 17 pulls to down. 17. The reason? Parnome. Honestly, he'd been a decent tank so far. But when it came to this fight, I don't know what it was. He stood in every ground effect. He took the waves of light so much that it looked like his character was at a disco. And when we did eventually kill it, on that 17th pull, all 3 healers, including Pookie, ended up with a 93 to 97% healing pass. Jesus Christ. That is a war. That is a fucking war. Little did I know. Oh, God. Yeah, you've got a bad tank. Monkey Boy. Oh, no. Little did I know we were just getting started on the road to hell. Grong was up next. You want to guess the number? He's checked the add-ons. He's got a number for us. I have the screenshots. We have a figure. I could give you a clue. I could give you a clue before you throw a number out there. Grong was up next, and it took 3 weeks to kill Grong Heroic. It took 3 weeks to kill Grong Heroic. Luna, like a shotgun, although Jose Marino has brought it home. The wipes capped out at 64. 64 wipes to Heroic Grong. The cracks were really starting to show. Parnome just didn't understand the tank combo. No matter how many times it was explained, no matter how many times we showed in the video, he just didn't get it. He just didn't get it. And we were wiping over and over and over just due to this. That raid that spent 3 weeks on Grong was purely down to one man, Mr. Parnome. By the time we killed it, all enthusiasm and joy about raiding had been siphoned from our raiders. It was all going. Although the guild would limp on in one way or another for another month, it was damaging to morale. During this time, Pookie had started to complain. We are undergeared. That is why the problems exist. We're too undergeared. And what we should be doing is re-clearing normal to get better gear. Okay. A side note for those who may not remember, though. The Battle for Azeroth changed the raid loot system in the game. Master loot no longer existed. Thank you for the reminder. Everything is personal loot. How did this affect us now and not previously? Well, this change had impacted Pookie heavily. In previous expansions, the old guards of the guild, including the ex-raid leader, very much protected Pookie. She was the OG. She was the Grand Lady of the guild. So they would help her by prioritizing her when gear dropped. Fuck that. It didn't hurt either that her partner Alex was the loot officer. Fuck that. So Pookie was able to do okay healing compared to the other healers because she was constantly overgeared. But now the loot system change in Battle for Azeroth had really disrupted this process. Pookie was no longer overgeared. Pookie was no longer able to keep up with the healing. Hence why she was now suggesting that we should go back to do normal mode. Let me bring you back to the story then. I responded as raid leader to the suggestion that we should go and farm normal with something that I thought was a reasonable, level-headed suggestion. Mythic Plus is actually considerably easier and more efficient for gearing up than going back to do normal. Even if you just do a weekly key, you'll get a decent upgrade from there. I even noted that we had 2 full raid tanks and that I would be happy to tank any that the main tanks didn't want to do or when there wasn't a tank available. So effectively, we had 3 tanks available for our smaller heroic guild to do Mythic Plus with, which was the spec that we lacked in a few previous M Plus nights when the guild tried to organise. I really enjoyed doing Mythic Plus, and the small group of tryhards that banded together to do M Plus at the beginning of the expansion had continued to do our weeklies, and often more throughout. With raid progress being slow, this is how we had geared ourselves for raiding. However, the moment the words came from my lips, the moment I released that key on the keyboard suggesting that people do some M Plus on the side to get some extra gear instead of us wasting raid time doing normal mode, I instantly received 2 messages. One in the green from Alex in Officer Chat and one in the pink from Pookie. If we are to be gearing for raids, M Plus should take place during raid time. Expecting people to do dungeons outside of raid times is elitist. And that I, not a raid tank, tanking Mythic Plus instead of letting Parnome or the other tank do it is toxic to their roles. That's just facts right there. That's facts. That's just hot knowledge. No. You guys are being judgmental. That is fact. Big facts. Look, if you're expecting me to get gear, that's what I'm here at raid time for, right? So if we're going to have to do dungeons, mate, doing it during raid time, yeah? That's when our tanks are there. I literally laughed out loud at my desk. I'm pretty sure I came to Twitch chat while you were streaming to tell you about this. Maybe you did. I can't remember. This must have been the narrative that Parnome had been telling them in that little circle of old people. Old people. The truth was, and my co-writer corroborates this, I was a better M Plus tank. I would plan the routes and the trash I needed to pull and speed it needed to be pulled in order to time the keys. Whereas Parnome has a more classic WoW approach of let's go in and kill the things until the boss is dead, which resulted in most of the failed keys for our guild. But anyway, let's go back to the raid. Let's get back. The Jade Fire Masters. They went down the same night as Grong. Even Opulence was comparatively alright. However, we did run into an issue, and I was not prepared for this moment. A small detail just to convey what I was dealing with Pookie. It's a Resto Druid on Opulence. During the fight, there's a debuff, which is a heavy dot if you move. With our raid size, there would be 2 debuffs per side. Remember Opulence, you split up into 2 groups. The idea we had was that each healer would dispel 1, and we would be fine. Job done. No. Whichever side Pookie was on couldn't do the dispel. And we couldn't work out why. So we asked her. And as she clearly said, there's far too much going on here to expect her to dispel. Her exact reply was something like, I can't dispel here. There are things to move from. So, stupid plan, raid leader. Okay. Dumb fucking plan. The final section I wish to tell you guys about is the section that I've entitled The Guild Killer. The Conclave of the Chosen. So we know where our title comes from. The situation with the raid team had gotten so bad that it was during Conclave progress that I started actively searching for a new guild. Thank you, Jesus. Thank God. It was either that I was going to quit playing WoW. Yes. The events leading up to this. It took us 99 pulls to kill the Conclave. On the 25th of March, 2 full months after raid release, we had managed to achieve 5 out of 9 heroic. By the time we downed this boss, our raid had changed from a guild capable of doing the odd mythic boss on a good night to 12 people, which still had to be 3 healed. We decided to do a re-clear for the raid after we killed Conclave for the first time. We could not ever re-kill Conclave. The raid team still just had 2 main healers, which would have been Pinchuk and of course Pookie. 2 raiders who DPS an off-spec heal, me and someone else, but both better healers than Pookie, as you can imagine. With our raid numbers dwindling, we didn't need more than 2 healers. But Pookie's healing had become so bad with the complexity of Battle for Dazar'alor that we had to have a 3rd healer in order to keep her in the raid. Mulling over how to heal this fight, enter my co-writer, who I don't think has a name here. We'll call Nikia. Nikia decided in the officer chat, Alex, which is Pookie's partner, could you delicately inquire, and that's the phrasing, can you delicately inquire whether Pookie would be up for going balance and let one of the other healers switch to a main healer? Okay. Of course, the unspoken yet implied message was that it would be way easier to carry a DPS than a healer, especially with our small raid number. Alex replied in officer chat saying, I'm not sure, and I really don't want to get involved, as it's his partner. Makes sense, right? Alex suggests that Nikia should probably ask Pookie directly about that. So, Nikia replied, okay, we'll see how the rest of this raid goes, and the conversation was left there. As it turned out, though, Mr. I don't want to get involved immediately told Pookie, and she got dramatically upset, immediately logged off TeamSpeak and left the raid. This is a good sign, by the way. We can carry on the raid now. Confused, the officers called the raid early. Why? What the fuck, dude? Why? Fuck that. Go, 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 go! Offline, bummer. Internet must have dropped out. Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll, see what happens. Let's go, go! We called the raid early. Alex then informed us in the officer chat that Pookie said if she wasn't wanted as a healer, then she would rather just not raid. But this is when Nikia clarified and said, that isn't what I told you. That isn't what I suggested at all. Nikia then revealed she hadn't even spoke to Pookie yet. And wanted to know why a conversation that had happened in the officer chat about something we could ask about maybe is now being shared explicitly and being twisted in such a way. Of course, our boy Alex has a correct explanation for this. Officer Alex declares upholdingly, because she is my woman. Boom. Also, you're really dumb if you think you're going to tell somebody who's partner about them and they're not going to tell them. Oh, well, according to our first story, maybe you won't. Who knows? Maybe I'm talking shit. Based on our first story, maybe they won't say anything. Who knows? It's a bit of a mystery. I would assume they will. I would assume they will. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows? It was clear that battle lines were being drawn. Nikia was upset by the fact that Alex had unintentionally or intentionally set her up as the fall guy by assuming she had spoken to Pookie, and now is the time to out her as the person who was a bully. Good old, who had bullied poor, gentle old Pookie to drop out of the raid, which caused Pookie to be in too much distress to come back to the raid, and that's why we had to call the raid. This was only the beginning of the lengthy psychological warfare that was going to take place on the forums. Written, directed, and starring our poor little old Pookie. The officers stayed online after this raid was called. I wanted clarity. What the fuck is going on here? And I asked in officer chat if the priority for the team is to progress as a guild or a team and get curve like we said we would, or to just make sure everybody who wants to raid can come along, and we might have to bang our heads against a brick wall. 3 out of 4 officers answered, we're here to get curve. That's why we turn up. That's what we wanted to be. So that was me, Nikia, the author, Nikia, and of course, Pinchuk. Alex, though, everybody should be welcome. He was outnumbered, but God forbid the boy's not backing down. He went on to suggest a solution. Maybe it's time we changed. Maybe it's time we changed ourselves to a normal raiding guild rather than the clearly overtuned heroic guild. That's the plan. Anybody want to join my normal progress guild? You want in? You guys want in? You guys want in? You down? You down? No changes. Hashtag no changes. This, of course, as soon as those words appeared in the green, my mouse stops working for this to be less dramatic. But of course, red alert. Red alert! Red alert! Oh God, normal progress guild. And at this point, I had watched enough Drama Time to know how this shit goes. I immediately started browsing the server for other guilds. The problem was I had 12 120s on this server. For me to transfer wasn't really an option. Yes, it is. You don't need to transfer all 12 characters. You don't need to do that. Please, for the love of God, don't do what my Twitter feed tells me, which is I chose a realm 10 years ago. I've been here forever since. There's no guilds on it, and there never has been. Move, re-roll. It's so worth it. Be on a busy fucking server. Be on a busy server. Get it done. We explained to Alex that most of the raiders that we had recruited were here for ahead of the curve with relative ease. That's what we advertise them as. That's what we're supposed to be doing as a guild. So, if he's suggesting that we're no longer aiming to get curve in Battle for Dazar'alor, then we might as well stop, because we've already actually cleared normal mode. And those of us who want to get curve will find a guild that's getting curve. Of course, we later learned that every single conversation was being screenshotted, recorded in a log, and relayed in real time to Pookie. Which explains how, as the conversation went on, Alex's reply started to get weird, irrational, replying to things that nobody had said. For example, perhaps we should consider the guild splitting up, as we're no longer doing that. But what of raid attendance, would be his reply. When we would suggest that some people clearly aren't up to the heroic progress anymore, he replied with, Susan farms hours and hours to progress the feast. Susan is Pookie. There you go. I goofed. He would also say things like, we are a family. We progress together, or we don't ever progress as a people. Interesting. Guild chat, officer chat, guild website, forums, Discord. Nowhere was safe from these proclamations. In an attempt to cut through the rumors and manipulation that followed that raid night, Nikia decided to open up the discussion to the raid team so we could be transparent about what does everybody want? What do we want to do? She started a well-reasoned discussion thread on the guild forum detailing raid performance numbers and the facts of those officer conversations, so they weren't private, and opened up the discussion to the guild for the raiders to give their input. Is it about progress and curve, or are we about everybody has a chance to raid? What do we want to do? Many of the better raiders confirmed curve. And always were offering to switch spec or to sit out for the good of the team progress whenever needed. A few days later, though, finally Pookie, in her signature and custom bright purple bold forum text, I mean, she was literally the only person in the guild who had gone to the effort of requesting she have her own colour on the forums. That's such a weird nuance. That's such a weird detail. Wrote extensively and passionately about how certain members of the guild were abusing and abusive towards her, and that she wasn't sure she liked the direction this guild was going in regards to policing the way raiders play. Just to be clear at this point, still no one had actually spoken directly to Pookie, let alone been abusive. The only person who had spoken to Pookie was her partner, Alex. None of us. And the only thing we were going to speak to Pookie about was whether she would mind playing balance for one fight in the raid. That's it. That's the only conversation that was planned to be had with Pookie. It was still just an idea that was floated in the officer chat and never acted upon in any way. After Pookie's post, Nikia decided to share with Pinchuk and I the backstory of Pookie. Fog washes over us. This is a raid team that would implode, such as now. Every 5 to 8 months, the guild would die and then rebuild. Universally, because of Pookie. Nikia had seen two, like the Matrix. So this guild is like the Matrix, all right? This guild is very much like the Matrix. This guild has, or Nikia has seen 2 of these implosions herself. This was going to be the third. The first implosion she ever saw, the team lost both the tanks and the raid leader, who was also the main healer, due to the seemingly forced way of carrying Pookie in the raids. In the second implosion she saw, the main team lost the main tank and the main healer again, and 2 of the top DPS due to carrying Pookie. Nikki had spoken to the ex-guildies from the 2 implosions and was told to be careful. Pookie is dangerous. Pookie is very manipulative. Pookie is poison. Still believing the good in people, and without any prior conflict with Pookie or Alex, Nikia decided to have a TeamSpeak chat with Pookie to clear things up. We're going to resolve this with a conversation, ladies and gentlemen. To TeamSpeak we go, we set the gauntlets out, and we get ready for a good old time. It started the moment Nikia joined TeamSpeak. In a broken voice that none of us had ever heard, that sounded like a very old lady on her deathbed on the verge of tears, Sue explained, I'm just an old lady, and it's not very clear to me what we should be doing during these fights. I can't look at you guys while I read this, but this is unfucking real. Do you understand why I play a healer? I can't do 3D graphics, and I like healing because the frames are 2D, and I understand the 2D. So I like it that I could just click the boxes and heal. I'll be honest. I've been doing this for 5 years. I don't know where we go from here. I'm kind of I'll just keep pushing through, I think. I think that's the way we go. I'm stumped. I'm physically stumped. I've dealt with some extreme things on Drama Time, but I'm stumped at that. That's got me. Afterwards, Nikia said to me, "You feel bad for her. You really, really do. You think she's just this sweet old granny who just wants to play the game, and she's abusing that to the extreme." On TeamSpeak, though, Nikia expressed to Pookie she wasn't having that shit. In order to progress as a team, sometimes people need to respec or sit out for the good of the team of the progress. And explained a 12-man raid team doesn't need 3 main healers, and that it would be easier to carry a DPS, and that they don't want her to leave the raid. We're not asking you to be benched. Just go DPS for this fight, for the love of Christ, so we can get past it. Pookie was completely silent throughout this part of the exchange. Nikia had to actually stop several times just to check if she hadn't gone AFK. But other than confirming that she's still there, Pookie gave 0 feedback. No acknowledgement, no objection, just complete, total, dead silence. The conversation, as you can imagine, ended awkwardly. To the guild forums we go then. Alex piled on, in Pookie's defense, called out the elitism from certain members of the guild. As per usual in all his conversation, no names are mentioned. Certain members are doing this. Some people are doing this. As me and my group, this is the author, as me and my group of Mythic Plus players were just getting into doing the 10 to 12 range of keys, we were doing all that we could to help those less confident in Mythic Plus through doing at least the minimum weekly key. We also shared resources to encourage self-improvement, the whole thing just to make everybody better and work together better. As the raid leader, I was the one pushing M+ runs to get all this gear that was just freely sitting there waiting to be picked up. As I may have mentioned, I'm not the most extroverted person, so it definitely wasn't me aggressively pushing it on people, just saying, "Do you have your weekly done? Would you like to join?" So I immediately understood who certain members of the guild meant. It meant me, and it meant the small group of people that were running people through M+, as I had been overtly called toxic at this point and elitist for daring to suggest, and this was brought back up on the forums, that Mythic Plus should be something we do to aid progression outside of the raid times. Toxic, dude. So toxic. Alex's sentiment was, of course, echoed by our boy Parnham, who also posted on the guild forum and said that everyone should be able to stick to the roles they wanted to play. It is time for a little side note about our boy Parnham. Parnham appeared like Alex and Pookie's friend, defending them in their role to get everybody into the raid team stance. But in reality, the reality was Parnham is full of shit. As he was typing this on the forums, he was also trying to score some points with Pinchuk, telling Pinchuk how fucking shit those guys were. and how Pookie is total dog, and how he disliked having although he was forum posting about how Pookie should be included in every raid team, in secret he utterly refused to do any dungeons with Pookie as the healer. The only reason he would ever be in the same dungeon as Pookie was because he was being nice and he'd already done his weekly. I'd had enough. This is the point. This is the point that I drew in the sand. I'd had enough. 2D, 3D graphics. I've had enough. There's no way to move and dispel. I'd had enough. I put up my announcement. Although it wouldn't be immediate. I'm leaving. I'm done. A normal mode raiding guild, that just isn't what I signed up for. Regardless of where this conversation goes, if normal mode's the target, we've hit the target and I want more. I was going to go to somewhere that would fit with my aims a bit more. I wasn't asking for much. Nikia, who had wanted to find a workable solution for the guild and the raid team, saw her words and goodwill twisted by Pookie on that guild forum. After the TeamSpeak conversation, Pookie took a couple of days and then a post appeared in her unmistakable, glorious, flamboyant, purple, bold text, explaining that she had had a conversation with Nikia where she had been bullied over TeamSpeak and that had made her cry, and how Nikia had done nothing but talk down at her for an extended period of time and never once asked for her input. After this, there's no way we can stay. Our time is over. I spent time looking for my new guild and ended up trialing somewhere on my druid alt on a moonkin. Meanwhile, I was having conversation with those I was close with, including, of course, Nikia and others from the M Plus group, about their plans. And I discovered that the little bastards had already been leveling characters on better realms and trialing different guilds. Fuckers. Others were just waiting to see how it all turned out before making decisions. Most couldn't be arsed looking for new guilds and found it a hassle, certainly on low pop realms. So they were just going to go with whatever was happening so they could raid a little bit. Now that it was a possibility that we were all going our separate ways, we didn't want that. We liked each other. Everything was fine besides a couple of problems. So first we thought we'll start one of them Battle.net community channels. We called it the Elitist Butter Chuggers Outcasts. Having the Elitist Butter Chuggers Outcast channel fostered the next step, which is, as you could probably guess, let's make our own guild. Let's do it. Nikia shared our plan of all leaving together to start a brand new guild with the remaining raiders, as well as some new recruits she brought in before and during the raid team implosion. Most people agreed to come with and be the first members of our new guild. Alex and Pookie are not invited. Now, we did invite Parnham, but he turned us down. The weeks following our guild quit, Parnham trash-talked each and every single fucking one of us in guild chat, from the broken record accusation of us being elitist to accusing that our egos were so inflated for hungry purples, heroic by the way, and selfishness being the thing that destroyed an entire guild, and we hope we're happy with that. So as the grass... Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think the grass is really greener on the other side? Do you think that moving on and starting our own guild worked out? Or did it end like so many others that we hear about in Drama Time? And the answer to that, of course, is, of course it fucking did. It was miles better. The last Butter Chuggers raid took place on the 27th of March. At that point, we had achieved 9 out of 9 normal mode, 5 out of 9 heroic, and Context Crucible of Storms released on the 17th of April. So about 2 weeks and a bit, 2 weeks and change before the release of the Crucible of Storms. Our very first raid in that brand new guild, which for now we'll just call Getting Curve, was on the 10th of April. In our first 2.5 hour raid with 2 brand new tanks and 1 new healer, we got 9 out of 9 normal and 4 out of 9 heroic. The very next raid night, we one-shot Conclave, killed Rastakhan on the 3rd try. A week later, we cleared Crucible normal on the first night, and the week after that, we were 8 out of 9 heroic and progressing Jaina in Battle for Dazar'alor. The other raid team, as you can probably imagine, had completely broken down. Perhaps Pookie and Alex had gone through so many raid team implosions that they thought this would just be another and they would just rebuild, but it seemingly wasn't happening this time. Interestingly enough, though, guess who came knocking at the fucking door? Our boy Parnham. He had turned down our guild invite, he had shit-talked us, but then he had saw our guild's progress. A message to Nikia. Do you guys still need a tank, though? No. But Nikia was being polite. She said, you're more than welcome to come as a DPS if you want to. He said no. His heart is in tanking. And he faction changed and left. My heart is in the tanking. Blood and steel. Blood and steel. Our entire Jaina progress took 35 pulls, but after the horrors of the Butter Chuggers, it was comparatively plain sailing. A pun there for a certain member of your audience. On the night we downed Jaina, we went straight into Stormsong and also killed the Restless Cabal heroic on our 8th try. And the next raid night, we killed Unat's heroic after just 25 pulls. The Eternal Palace, just uneventful. Nice, cool, sweet, easy progress. And we recruited fairly well prior to Ny'alotha, to the extent that we're now starting to dip our toes into Mythic. We took 5 weeks to clear Heroic this tier, and we're now 6 out of 12 Mythic, with a 7% pull on Vexiona and some 30% pulls on Drestagath. You're progressing 2 bosses at once. Interesting. As for Pookie and Alex, well, they also left the Butter Chuggers. They moved to a new guild on our server, where they have now been promoted to officers. Although I don't dig too deeply, I have to wonder, what the hell is going to happen there? What the hell? Pinchuk is still our heal officer, Nikia our recruitment officer, and we introduced her to Drama Time relatively recently, and she has binge-watched the whole lot in a worryingly short amount of time. Quarantine, am I right? She enjoyed them so much that she submitted her own recent story, and you read it a couple of weeks ago and had the entire guild in stitches. Oh, excellent. Cool. As for me, I was in Orgrimmar when we were discussing the new guild, so I ended up being the GM of the new guild, and I'm still raid leading. I like to think a bit better than I was at Mithrax, on my Prot Pally and Blood DK. Our guild name is blank, and I'm still a bit sad that my preferred choice of Conclave broke my guild was downvoted by the other members. Thank you for allowing me to name this story as such. What story was it? Let me see if it's in the initial email for you guys. God, 3D graphics though, right? Oh, it's in the email. Something of a follow-up to the story titled That Guy. That Guy. So a story we did called That Guy. This was painful, and I don't know why I listened to it. Well, I mean, 3D and 2D graphics, tricky. 3D and 2D graphics, tricky stuff. I really want to know, and Arthur, I know you're out there. Let us know what happens to that guild that they joined, just as a follow-up. Just please let us know. All right. Pookie, not the arsehole, damn elitist. Well, question to be raised. Thoughts to go home with. Homework for the audience. The guild's goal is to achieve curve in a reasonable amount of time. Clearly, they had managed to do that in the past, so there's something wrong else somewhere. Or was Battle for Dazar'alor significantly more difficult? Hard for me to gauge. Didn't spend enough time in Heroic to gauge that from a Heroic guild perspective. I think it is fair that if the guild is no longer achieving its goals, then it's time to address why that's not happening. If it was a guild trying to go mythic, then I would be totally on board. That is completely unfair on Pookie. That's not what she signed up for. Yeah. There's more to it than meets the eye, I suspect, but I don't know what it is. But either way, homework. Think about it. I don't know. Be good, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you either tonight. I might have another stream this evening. I'm going to have some dinner first. Or we'll be streaming tomorrow. But it will be Pokemon to prepare us, of course, to get that game out of the way. Because Shadowlands beta starts next week, which means we'll be able to do dungeons with, I imagine, quite a few of you. It looks like they're going to send out a lot of beta. So if that's cool, we'll be around and we'll have some fun with that. Covenant previews are out. I've previewed them quite a lot, unless there's something new in there. I will take a look. I'll take a look with you. All right, be good, guys. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.